Hey there, this is Schwermetallisch. I'm sitting here with Nick Holmes of the famous, legendary band Paradise Lost.
Hello, hi, how you doing?
I'm great. Yeah.
Great.
This is, I think, the biggest interview for me yet. So if I'm forgetting the English language in between, please just give me a sign.
It's all right. I'm not too good at it myself, so I'm sure we'll get through.
Yeah, you don't need to be any good in talking when you're good in singing, and I know you are.
Stop it, stop it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of great vocalists, so you have to bear with me if I'm complimenting you.
Thank you, man. I'm glad you like the band. That's great. Good to hear.
So, Paradise Lost, formed in 1988, 16 LPs, absolute pioneers of the death doom movement, spearheading the movement, so to say. And many doom bands and death doom bands cite Paradise Lost and say they are inspired by your music. So you're quite influential when it comes to music, to heavy music. Yeah, what does it feel like?
It's great. I mean, we started the band when we were kids, and we were big fans of the bands that were around at the time. We were big fans of bands like Celtic Frost and Death and Battery and Venom and Metallica, and those were the bands that we grew up listening to when we were younger, and they influenced us. And I guess when we moved on a bit, some bands listened to us, and then they were influenced by what we were doing. So I guess that happens, and if you stay around long enough, it's going to happen again. So yeah, we started off as fans of music, like which I think is the best way to start a band. You've got to be actually into the music. You've got to have a passion for it, and if you've got that, then it's a good foundation to build a career on. So, but we were never the kind of band who, when we were kids, it was always, oh, you start a band to get girls and all this, and we weren't interested in that. We were interested in death metal. We weren't interested in girls. We were interested in death metal and looking miserable. And we've kind of carried that on for a while.
Yeah, drinking canned beer in the rain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We still do that.
Who not?
Yeah.
So, I had to do quite a bit of no corona.
No worries. Yeah, no worries.
You were signed to quite some labels in your time. Which one suited to you the best or worst in your opinion?
We've been very lucky with labels. I mean, we've always worked with some great people at them, and it's a very diplomatic answer, but it's true. I mean, we've always done, I mean, I think the labels that are very specific to the genre, the rock and metal labels, are always great to work with, because the people that work on it, they're into the music, they're into the bands. You get good friends because you have a lot of common ground with them, because you like the same music, etc. So, we've working with Nuclear Blast, Century Media, early days, Music for Nations. It's always great working with people that are passionate about, the bands that they're working with and the music and the whole genre, and it is a diplomatic answer, but we've been very lucky with labels,
That is a very diplomatic answer.
Yeah, we haven't had, we haven't had any nightmares. I know a lot of bands that have trouble with labels. We've always been quite lucky in that respect. We've always managed to get along with who we've been working with.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands that later on in their career tell stories about being fucked over by bad labels or bad management, and they all have one thing in common. Most of them are from the US.
Yeah. I mean, there was famously a lot of bad deals floating around, and especially in the kind of the late 80s, the early 90s, there was definitely a lot of dodgy deals going on. Like you say, a lot of US bands got really messed around. But we signed with our management company very very early on in our career. I think it was around 1992, and we've been with them ever since. And he's always kind of taken care of that aspect. So we've been quite, hopefully, a little bit shielded from any bullshit, I guess.
That's a very fortunate situation to not get any problems when it comes to management and labels.
Yeah, well, he lives quite close anyway, so we can have a word with him anyways.
Visit him if there's problems.
Yeah.
So, which country and which venue do you consider the best or worst when it comes to touring over the years?
It's always great coming over. Germany's always great. There's nowhere that's it's always it can be different everywhere. It depends what time of year. Maybe what night you're playing. It can be different on different. Even if the weather's different, it can change the concert. But just when we set off on a European tour, we usually start off in Belgium and we finish off in Paris, and we go everywhere else in between. There's nowhere that we don't want to go. Everywhere's great. It's always after 35 years of touring, we've got a reasonable amount of people into us in different countries, and so we can go pretty much anywhere. And it's always a pretty good concert. So yeah, again, diplomatic answer, but it's always pretty good.
That sounds good too.
Yeah. I mean, but like I say, we've been playing everywhere for a long time. It's not like, I mean, initially when we started the band, we would always go to Holland quite often, and then we go to Germany more, and then it just kind of snowballed, and we ended up going everywhere else as well. But yeah, playing the whole of Europe's great.
And there was never a venue when you guys said in me that this was so bad, I don't want to come here anymore because the toilets suck, the beer tastes like shit, stuff like that.
Yeah, we've played many kind of shit venues, but I mean, you can walk into a place and you think it's a shithole, but if it's a very much of if it's on the gig list where many bands come through there, the place might be a dive, but the concert could be fantastic, because the people come very often and frequent, and they like to hang out there, and it's a good vibe at the gig. So a lot of the time, the places that are dumps are usually great places to play and good fun to play. And we've played some very small places that have been really memorable concerts. When we first started, we used to play many places in the UK that were very much like dive nightclubs, but they were always good fun to play. And and even if, like I said, you might think, oh, it's going to be a nightmare, but it can turn out to be good fun, and you have to go into it with a sense of humor, because you have to, you're still going to play, so you might as well make the most of it,
Yeah, that's of course right. I just know the venues from a fan and not musician kind of perspective. So
yeah, I mean in America, you can play. There's some terrible places in America. You walk in there, and you're like, oh my god. But once they turn the air conditioning on and a few people come in, it's well, it's not. Well, I say air conditioning. That's if you're lucky. You go, well, it's not that bad. Once you've had a few beers, you forget about it.
Yeah, beer helps.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. I wrote down a few more or less nerdy vocal questions.
Okay.
Because I'm always interested in the vocal styles and how people manage to do what they do. So how did you develop your vocal style?
I mean, the voice, your voice does change. I mean, my voice has changed a lot. Changed a lot in the last 20 years. It's very different now to when I started. When I listened to the first album, I sound young. I'm doing the growl thing, but I still sound very young on it. When I do the growl now, I definitely sound like an older guy, I think. But that's just getting older, I suppose. I mean, as far as technique goes, also as I've got older, you really have to be more careful about partying and all these things that you just can't really do it now. If you're touring as well, you've got to really preserve yourself, and it's quite a physical thing, you know, and so you just have to look after yourself. I think. I mean, as a vocalist, if you're playing quite nearly every night of the week or whatever, you've really got to take care of yourself. And yeah, just the older you get, the more you have to be careful. I think, you know, it's basically just like anything. You know, you can get drunk when you're 25, the next day you're fine, but it doesn't work like that now, you know. So you
That
just
was
have to be
exactly
careful.
what I was thinking, as you said, that you have to be careful when you're getting older.
Yeah, I mean, then you know, if you're on tour and you see some old friends in the town where you know, and you know you've been seeing them for 20 years, you just have to say, look, you know, we're going to have to do it another time, because if you've got to play a show the next day after that, I mean, of course, you know, you get carried away, and it has happened, you know, where you turn up the next day and you're ruined, you know. It's happened many times, but I try to avoid it as much as possible now. I have done for quite a long time. It's just not worth it, you know.
I guess you're not smoking.
No, I stopped smoking 20 years ago.
Very good, because
Yeah.
I checked out your new live album at the Mill, and yeah, the clean parts are not manageable if you're a tough smoker.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of problems when I mean, smoking, it didn't really help the voice. I don't think it adds anything to it. Somebody said it helps. I don't see how it can help at all, really. It's, you know, just general health is much better since I stopped. So yeah, I think it was around 2004 or 5 I stopped, something like that. Not quite 20 years, but yeah, it's, and also the bank account, because it's just so expensive thing to do.
Yes, that is.
So yeah, I'd never smoke again. It just seems pretty pointless. I mean, at least when you drink alcohol, you get some benefit. You feel something, you know. When you smoke, you don't feel anything, you know. So yeah.
So yeah, back to the vocals. For me, it's quite interesting to know about transitions. So how do you manage to do the transitions from clear to harsh?
It's quite
Beyond
easy to
me.
do. Yeah, it's quite easy to do, really, because the growl voice is quite quiet. You know, there is technique to it. It's not when people, if people are out in a bar and they're drinking and they're doing death metal vocals, messing around with their friends, they really shout, you know, and they kind of blast their lungs out, and they usually wake up with a sore throat, you know. But I mean, when you have a microphone, you're amplified. You don't need to do that. So most death metal vocalists tend to sing quite quietly. You know, you can still do it as effective and keep it a bit quieter. So a lot of it's volume. You know, you can damage your voice far more by talking in a nightclub over noisy music than you would do on stage. You know, so these are the things I've kind of developed. I've realized this over many years of experimenting with it. You know, so yeah, it's just technique, and like I said, you need plenty of rest. I think sleep's the best thing you can get for the voice. You know, sleeping is massively important, I think, for your voice. But yeah, transition to clean. It's easy. I don't. It's, you know, it's something I've worked on it more the last 10 years, but I can do it quite easily now. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, Ken Pipes of the band 3 Inches of Blood once said that his high-pitched voice, the painkiller like vocals he does quietly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the higher range, the higher scream type, squawk type voice is a harder thing to maintain and do it with any, you know, without really actually pushing it. I mean, I don't really do that kind of thing much, but from, you know, people I know that do it, they tend to run into problems a lot more often than people with lower ranges. But yeah, it's just something you have to keep. You know, again, you have to just take care of yourself, and, you know, don't push things too far. You know?
Yeah, the sleep, the amount of sleep you mentioned. James Rivera once told me that he's always sleeping.
Yeah, it's true. It really is. I mean, nothing can replace. I mean, you can have the best throat remedies in the world, but nothing replaces sleep. You know, it is the ultimate thing. You know, if you've had like 2 hours sleep and then after a show and then you try, and you're not going to sing as good. You know, you just do not. It just doesn't have the same thing. So it's, yeah, I would always say get some sleep. Even though I don't sleep very well, I still maintain it's the best thing for the throat.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not good at sleeping or chilling.
Yeah. No.
So, what are you looking forward to the most for the tour in February 22?
It'd be nice just to make things a bit more like a normal situation. I think it's going to be a while before everything is completely to how it was before. I think that's going to take time, but it's nice just to kind of approach a little bit of normality. I think the longer things go on and the uncertainty around everything starts to do your head in a bit. I think that's what people start to get a bit pissed off about. I mean, you can handle a bit of change for a while, but when it carries on and you still don't know the outcome of things, it starts to grind at you a little bit. So it'd be nice to know where we're going to be at a certain time, and fingers crossed, etc. But so yeah, a little bit of certainty would be nice, and just doing what we do. I mean, obviously, we've been doing this a long time, so I'm looking forward to getting back to it again.
Yeah. So a few minutes ago, I checked your online store, and man, you guys got a lot of merch.
Yeah, we got loads of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I remember when we used to have 3 designs, and that's all we had. And then we ran out of one anyway, and then so we just had 2 designs in the entire world. But yeah, there's just how it is now. I mean, every band has many designs.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
And one thing for the audience, the prices are very decent. Go and visit it.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a discussion online for merch, and especially for patches. And nowadays, some companies want $25 for a back patch.
Wow.
And yeah, that was like, no. It's beautiful, but no.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, it's a long time since I'm trying to think. Yeah, I had bought a back patch. It was probably a Celtic Frost back patch when I was kind of a long time ago. But I couldn't tell you how much it cost. But I saw Metallica in 1986, and that cost £4.50, which is about €5.5, €6 or something. So I guess a back patch was kind of considerably less than that, maybe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, isn't it great to know that there's people out there that maybe listen to Paradise Lost and decide to form a band and to buy your patches, and yeah, for them you are the same kind of icon, the same kind of inspiration as Metallica and Celtic Frost was for you years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, when we were teenagers, we were just, like I said, we were just totally awe-inspired, and then we've met a lot of the people that we were massive fans of, and everyone's just normal. Everyone's just people, It's just an age thing, and who you grow up listening to, and you kind of build up ideas in your mind, and then you meet them, and we're all just people, we're doing what we do, and we love it and all that, but we're still, at the end of the day, we're just people we're as frail as everybody else, So yeah, but it's the same from generation to generation, really. We're no different to anybody else, really.
Yeah, I think that actors and musicians are the closest atheistic people can get to gods. If you don't believe in God, you have your stars, icons.
I mean, I do have many people I admire, and like you say, particularly actors. I do have a lot of actors I really admire, but I don't ever want to meet them because I don't ever want to be disappointed by it. I'd just rather keep them on a pedestal, because once I realize they actually are human and they do get pissed off, and then you're kind of a little bit disappointed by that. So I just prefer to keep people on the pedestal. So I'm never, So it's like, if I have opportunity to meet someone, I'm like, oh no, it's okay, I don't need to meet them. I'll just keep them at the status I have in my mind what they are. So
that's kind of sad and kind of clever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also get nervous and I say stupid things as well. So that's something else I'd want to avoid as well, because I would say something stupid. So I tend to, it's easy just not to bother,
I totally feel this. If I would have the chance to meet, I don't know, like Clint Eastwood or someone like that.
Yeah, it'd be too stressful. I couldn't deal with it. Yeah.
But the question is it better to not say anything than to just stumble through your own language?
I don't know. If somebody just shouts a song title at me, I quite like that. I think that's quite funny. I've had somebody shout a song title at me in the airport, and he never came up or said anything. He just shouted the title, then walked off, and I thought that was really funny. I thought it was pretty cool. And he was like a business guy. He had a suit and tie and a short haircut and a briefcase, and he just shouted "As I die," and then he walked away. I thought it was fantastic. I thought we were really laughing at that. It was great.
Nothing more to say.
No, it was great. It was brilliant. It was just going through customs. Yeah, it was funny.
So, this is a tricky question, but maybe you have answered this question a million times before. If so, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, what do you consider the most important record in your history as a band?
You sort of feel like you should base that on commercial success. So in that case, yeah, I would say Draconian Times was a real strong album for us. It changed a lot of things for us, and it was a brilliant time. We were young guys as well. We really kind of lived life to the full, and we really loved being in the band, and we partied hard and all these things that you do at that age. And it was a really good time for the band. But there's albums I actually like more than that on a personal level. The music. I think there's albums I prefer to that. So it could possibly not even be in my top 5 on my personal album choices. But it does change though. When I listen to things, I kind of get back into albums again. But albums for me, they're like bookmarks. They remind me of where I was at a certain time. They kind of jog my memory, and they're almost like chapters in a book. And I quite like that aspect. Been around for so many years, and I think, well, what was happening? And I pick up a copy of an album and think, oh yeah, then I remember the studio, where we were doing, which pub we went in, who we had an argument with, blah blah, all these things. They all come back, and I quite like that. They're like bookmarks, so in the mind. So with that said, it's almost like choosing a chapter in a book, so it's kind of hard. But I'd say on a commercial level, yeah, I'd say Draconian Times was a very big album for us.
Is there any record you remember being an exceptionally good or bad time in your life?
Yeah, that's, again, they remind you of bad times as well. If you're having personal problems, we've had lots of things going on in our personal lives while we've been doing the band. Or if we've been on tour or we've been in the studio, there's always something gnawing away that's happening in your personal life. Yeah, of course, they remind you of that as well. But music has always been an escapist thing for us. We've always used the band as a form of escapism, and we go away to a little place and we make the music and we write the music, and it's purely escapism. So it never really, our personal issues never really spill over into the band, and it's still the same thing. And I really love that aspect, that doesn't change, So no matter what's going on in the background, we can still do the band and still get the same feeling and spirit from it that we always got when we were kids, So it's really lovely to be able to still have that after all these years.
Yeah, it sounds like you're at a good place in your life and at peace with who you are as a musician, as a human being.
Yeah, I feel totally privileged to be able to do this after all these years. It's tough, starting a band now. It's difficult, and you could be the best band in the world, but if people don't know about you, or you're not channeled correctly, or someone just doesn't happen to click on your link, all these things, there's so much goes against you as a band now. And there's so many bands as well. This is the thing, there's like thousands of bands out there, doing the same thing, and it's hard to cut through them all. It's kind of, the mind boggles. When I was a kid, there was like about 4 heavy metal bands, there was kind of AC/DC, Motorhead, and a few others. Just there really wasn't a lot of choice, you know. But yeah, it's just kind of the mind boggles how many bands there is out there now, you know. So yeah, we feel very lucky that we got our foot in the door very early on and before the internet came along and all that kind of thing. And it makes me sound very old, but you know, there we are, you know.
Ah, yeah. For you as a musician and for your placement in this whole business, it's good that you're not 20 years old, because it's hard and complicated, and then complicated in a different kind of way than in the 80s, for example.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, you have to be able to do more. I mean, you know, you've got to be able to do interviews. There's more requested of you, I think, as a musician. You know, when we were kids, you just turn up, you play the gig, then you get drunk and you do it again. You don't talk to anybody. You don't speak. You know, you just kind of go on stage, do your thing, and write music, and then just, you know, rinse and repeat. You know, but now there's a lot more expected of you. You know, than so you've got to be an accountant. You've got to be savvy with the internet. All these sort of little things that never really,
yeah.
all these things never really a thing at all, you know, when we were younger. But with that said, I've been into the internet since it kind of kicked off on a grand scale. I've always been interested in it, in you know, computers and all that thing anyway. But yeah, there's definitely it's a lot harder, I think, for bands now, young bands.
So back to the new record. What was your favorite part of recording your new live record at the mill?
It was nice to play the new songs as a group. We haven't actually played them as a band and until we rehearsed them a few days prior to the live stream. So it was the first time, you know, it's nice to hear them and knowing that they would sound well and they were fitting well with the rest of the material. It wouldn't sound out of place or anything like that. So yeah, it was good to play them as a band and play them loud as a band. So that was probably the high point. And also, you know, the set list worked really well. That we thought it flowed very nicely. You never exactly know what it's going to be like until you play it through. But yeah, it all went okay. And yeah, it was nice to have a drink at the end of it all, you know, and see everybody, because we hadn't seen each other for quite a while. So we had a good catch up as well. So that was nice.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it from my part. I have no more questions to shoot in your direction. And once more for the audience, At the Mill, the new live album of Paradise Lost, is out on the 16th of July, 2021, of course. And yeah, go and grab it. Just grab it.
Grab it, yeah. I hope you like it, yeah. And hopefully we can get out and do some shows outside England in 2022. You know, that's fingers crossed for next year. You know.
Yeah, of course. I would love to see you guys live, and yeah, check out the YouTube videos, guys, and guys, ladies, folks. You know, everyone. And yeah, the sound is really, really ridiculously great. That's really a good mix.
Oh, on the live stream.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of wanted it to make it sound like a really good bootleg. You know, when we were kids, we used to tape trade the death metal bands, and we would occasionally get a bootleg that sounded so good that we thought, well, how is this so good? But it just happens a kid was stood in the right place in the crowd, you know, and he just managed to get a really good mix. And we thought about those days when we used to be blown away by this amazing sound of a bootleg. So we thought about that, obviously making it a little bit more polished than that. But yeah, we didn't want to make it sound like a studio album. We wanted to make sure it did sound like quite raw and heavy and more like, you know, like a rehearsal. We wanted that vibe. So that's what we went for, basically, you know.
Yeah, mission accomplished, I would
yeah.
I would say.
Great stuff, yeah.
So, yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you for taking the time for Schwermetallisch reviews, and I wish you a fantastic rest of the day.
Yeah, and you, mate. All the best. Yes, I'm going to go outside and enjoy the sunshine. Well, I'm going to sit. I'm going to sit in the shade. But yeah, I'll watch other people enjoying the sunshine.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a nice one.
And you, mate. All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.